Hey, it's Bige and Nichole, and we're back with another episode of Your LexPD.
What a better time to talk about an initiative that we have at the Lexington Police Department and have had it for years, the D.A.R.E program, Drug Abuse Resistance Education. I actually used to be a D.A.R.E officer years ago.
Really?
So we're going to go back and we're going all the way from the beginning here in Lexington and look how the D.A.R.E program started, and then we're going to talk to one of the officers that handles the program now and see how it's going in the schools.
So join us here at Lexington Police Department Safety City for this episode of Your LexPD. So hey, we are here with retired Captain Greg Howard. Thanks for joining us today.
Morning.
So we are here talking about D.A.R.E. Can you tell us about D.A.R.E?
I don't know. I've kind of lost it all. Yes, a little bit. So I got promoted as sergeant in 1986, in March of 1986. And the chief at the time was John McFadden. I said, Chief, I think I'd like to go to patrol. He goes, yeah, I think you'd be good in community services. So I ended up in community services, and at that point, Ray Larson and the chief had already kind of conspired to get involved in the D.A.R.E program that the Los Angeles police had implemented in their school system. So I traveled to Los Angeles in July of 1986 with a guy from the school system named Jim Kamara, and we participated in a 2-week instructor certification program. And so we were one of the first groups to go for that. And we were the first Kentucky agency and really the first municipal agency east of the Mississippi.
Did you start going to all the schools in Fayette, or how did it begin?
Ray Larson and Keene and I and Jim Kamara presented to the school board about getting started. So after the school board meeting, we started a pilot project in 5 schools: Cassidy, Booker T, Lindley, Yates, and Southern. And at that point, it was all new, but it was very well received from a perspective of good public relations, good relationship with the children. It really went well, and so the police department and Ray decided that they wanted to kind of expand. And so after that first semester in 1987, we jumped on 5 additional schools.
Well, you know, Ray Larson was always very, very supportive of the D.A.R.E program. I taught D.A.R.E back in the day, and I remember teaching at Cassidy. Was one of the first schools I taught, and Betty Larson, Ray's wife, was one of my 5th grade teachers there, so I got to know them really well, and she was so supportive and helped me as far as the teaching component get better after the D.A.R.E instruction. So, and I'm sure you had the same experience with teachers kind of helping you in a new world in the classroom, because it is a different world, right?
Well, so I'm married to a professional school teacher. So I had professional help from home, but the teachers were awesome, man. They just like I thought they would be.
Well, I think a lot of people are probably surprised that it started here in Lexington, in Kentucky, and one of the first in the eastern United States, like you said. So we certainly appreciate all your contributions early on, and all those folks, Ray Larson and all the folks that were involved early on with this, because it truly has been important to a lot of children and impacted a lot of lives over the years. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate you joining this month.
Well, it was my pleasure. Thanks for asking me. I appreciate it.
We are here with Neighborhood Resource Officer and D.A.R.E Coordinator, Officer Caleb Brill. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So you're the D.A.R.E Coordinator for the Lexington Police Department.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you came to be in that position?
Yeah, absolutely. So I became a police officer with Lexington Police Department in 2012. In about a week, that will be my 12-year mark. I became certified in 2017 through D.A.R.E. You're required to go through a 2-week training. You have to get certified. And after that, I started teaching D.A.R.E. So I started in Booker T, your old school, Bige. I took over after that, and we started teaching at Booker T Elementary. And I continued to teach and just progressed with that.
Outstanding. So one of the things we talk about is the training to become a D.A.R.E officer, because you're filling 2 roles. You're a police officer, but now you're a teacher as well. And that's can be a very difficult transition. So, and speaking from somebody that's done it, so tell us a little bit about, I know the training has changed over the years, because when I went through, you went through elementary training, then you had to go through middle school training, then you had to go through school resource officer training. So tell us a little bit about the training process now.
The state of Kentucky has a D.A.R.E training team, and that team hosts once a year for 2 weeks. So the training is for 2 weeks long. You have to learn all the curriculum. So you cover elementary and middle school and high school curriculum during those 2 weeks. You're not allowed to deviate when you go and teach. Like you said, being a teacher, you have certain things that you have to meet, certain criteria. And during that training, you have to learn to do that. I've been in quite a few trainings, and I can tell you now that D.A.R.E training was the most difficult training that I attended. But it's very rewarding, and as a result of that, there isn't that concern of the material not being taught and all of that. And so it's a really good program, and it has changed. I know that before, it used to be a 17-week curriculum. Now we're at a 10-week curriculum. And a lot of times people assume D.A.R.E is just, I walk in and I tell the kids, hey, don't use drugs, don't smoke cigarettes, don't use tobacco. And it's so much greater than that, it's so much bigger. D.A.R.E America actually has educators on staff, and they use evidence-based studies to support what the lessons are teaching. And so you may talk about 1 week making decisions and how to make sound decisions. And then you build on that and talk about, if you're stressed, how do you recognize that? And what do you do before you get to that level of making a poor decision when you're stressed? And then we also cover those other things that every school kid deals with, which is bullying, peer pressure, all of those different items. And then we kind of at the end bring it all together and finalize it and discuss what we've learned throughout.
Well, I think pointing out the fact that it's more than just say no to drugs, because I know when I taught it, when we had graduations, we'd be talking to the parents, and a lot of times they just thought that all those weeks, that's what we taught. And like you said, it's really about making good decisions in a lot of different areas of your life. The curriculum, it is very structured, like you talked about. And I know even in the years that I taught it, it changed 2 or 3 times while I taught it, and we had to go back for refresher courses. And why is that? Is it because trends change and issues change?
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned that, because the curriculum does change. When I came in 2017, there was a specific curriculum that they were following, and I just returned from the national conference for D.A.R.E, and they announced that the middle school curriculum is going to be changing this fall. And that's because of trends, statistics. We all know statistics change every year. Another trend that we're seeing now involves vaping, and the curriculum that was being used didn't support that. We had some extra lessons we could talk about vaping, but now the curriculum that we teach in the 10-week curriculum actually includes vaping and discusses that a little more in depth.
You know, and also one of the things that comes up as far as relationships. And I think that's really important because it fosters a relationship between young people and the police department, and showing young people that we are human beings. We're not just a surgically attached uniform, and that we are people, and they get to connect and see that, and lifelong. I know I have had people come up to me that, just recently I was in a school, and I had a teacher come up to me, which ages me a little bit, and she said, "You were my 5th grade D.A.R.E officer." And they still remember your name, even 20 years later. So I think that tells you what those relationships mean.
Yeah, so like you said, Bige, I've had some kids myself come up to me and talk to me, and they were my D.A.R.E kids, and now they're in high school. They're talking about getting their permits and all these different things, and their parents even remember me. And it's been so rewarding to have that. I have plenty of kids that I will see out in the street now, and I know they wouldn't have approached me, wouldn't have said hi to me, but because I was their D.A.R.E officer and maybe teaching them now, I can interact with them in a different light, and they deal with that with officers as well. I've had times where officers have dealt with someone, talked to a kid or a family, and the kid will ask, "Hey, do you know Officer Brill? That was my D.A.R.E officer." And I've been able to go afterwards and speak with them, kind of help them out a little more. And it's so rewarding that we're able to do that, and it also allows us to be able to see maybe some issues with kids, maybe struggles they might be going through that we wouldn't be able to as a conventional patrolman or anything like that.
Well, some of the things they even open up and tell you.
Yeah.
And I've talked to teachers where we would go in second semester and they knew something was going on in the kid's life and didn't really know what it was. And you go in one day as a D.A.R.E officer and all of a sudden they want to talk to you. And they open up. I mean, where does that happen, right? Yeah. That tells you the value.
Absolutely. And it's just great. Like I said, it's a long-lasting effect that you have, and that's what I love seeing with the D.A.R.E program, is that I could teach you and I could see you in 10 years and you still remember who I was. You still remember what we taught you. Obviously, it's just like anything else in school. You might not remember everything, right, but we're giving them those tools to just be better humans, better adults as they continue to grow.
So with the curriculum, I know there's elementary, middle, high. So do we have a program for each of those schools here in Fayette County?
So the way it works with the Lexington Police Department, we predominantly teach in elementary school. And elementary school is geared towards 5th grade. And the curriculum kind of fits best with 5th graders. They're at that age where they're more able to understand what we're teaching. And so we teach 5th grade in elementary schools. We're currently in 4 elementary schools last year that we taught at. And then in middle school, it is geared towards 6th or 7th grade. So currently I teach at a school, I teach 6th grade, and it's a different curriculum. So a lot of people think, hey, my kid just had D.A.R.E in 5th grade, so 6th grade, why are you telling them the same thing? It's a different curriculum. They build on each other. So I've had some of my D.A.R.E kids from 5th grade come into my class for 6th grade, and they're like, okay, I remember this, but this is not the exact same lesson. It's tailored more to my age group now, or what I'm dealing with now in life. And then high school is more online courses, and it all depends on the staffing that we have. So again, like we talked earlier, you have to be a certified D.A.R.E officer. And so currently we have, I believe, 7 that are actually active teaching. And with that, almost all of them are on patrol. So we've got that challenge, right? We've got that challenge of, one, being able to get them scheduled to teach in a school, and also it's a huge challenge of switching that role, right? I may be taking calls or helping out, doing my job as a patrol officer, and the next thing you know, I have to come in and kind of flip that switch and be that D.A.R.E officer now. And so it's challenging. My officers do an awesome job. They're great at it. They have the passion. I'm very thankful that I have the ability to choose the officers that teach D.A.R.E, because it's just not something for everyone. And you have to have that passion, that drive to kind of see the follow through with those kids and everything.
Well, we certainly appreciate you joining us. There's a lot going on, but something that the Lexington Police Department truly believes in and is truly impacting lives, and we appreciate your input in that.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. And if anyone is interested in the D.A.R.E program, they have more questions, want to have it at their school, they can reach out. We have an email, dare@lexingtonpolice.ky.gov, and I will get that email and I'll respond and we can talk further.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
So next month, you know, Lexington is the horse capital of the world, right?
Yes, we are.
So we're going to focus and take a look at our mounted unit, which everybody's familiar. They've seen the horses downtown walking around. So we're going to talk with them next month and see what it is they do and a little bit of their daily process.
So join us next month for another episode of Your LexPD.